One of the biggest headaches for AI engineers or software engineers building with AI right now is the explosion of different model provider SDKs. If you've tried building software with AI, if you've tried to use the various SDKs from providers like Anthropic or OpenAI or Google, you'll quickly realize that those SDKs are all very different. So, for example, the syntax to call functions or call tools is different between OpenAI and Anthropic. And this can make it very, very difficult if you're trying to build an AI agent, for example, that needs to use different AI models. It's very common that you start building with one AI model provider and then you find you need to switch to another for various reasons. In this video, I'm going to show you a really simple way to build AI agents using just Python. In around 70 lines of code, we're going to build an AI agent that can control your computer and an AI agent that you can switch the model to any AI model provider instantly just through a configuration change. All right, so let's get started. So the first thing to talk about is LiteLLM. So LiteLLM is a Python library that standardizes all AI model providers into one single interface. This idea is really, really powerful. Okay, so the other thing that I should mention about LiteLLM is it comes in two different variations. The first variation is a proxy server. This is essentially an AI or an LLM gateway. This is infrastructure that you run. So a use case for this might be that if you have a company or a team of software engineers and you want to expose multiple AI models to them, maybe you don't want to expose the credential management, maybe you want to track billing, whatever it is, this is a way for you to expose AI models to all of your developers, and they can just use a standard interface to talk to that LLM gateway. But the other option for LiteLLM is the Python SDK. So it also comes as a Python client. This is essentially a Python layer that acts as an abstraction for using these different model providers. So use the LiteLLM proxy server if you want a central service LLM gateway to access multiple LLMs. So they give an example here. So if you're a Gen AI enablement, if you're an engineering leader trying to expose AI within your company, or if you're running like AI infrastructure and you want to expose LLMs to your developers, this is a great tool to do that. And then the LiteLLM Python SDK is great if you want to use LiteLLM in your Python code, typically used by developers building LLM projects. It's really, really simple to get started with LiteLLM. As you can see here, what we're doing, we're just saying pip install LiteLLM. And as you can see, the interface here is super simple. We're using the Ollama model, but if you want to change the model, all you need to do is change this string, which makes it really, really easy. And it follows the OpenAI responses format, which has become somewhat of a standard over time in the industry. Many people, if you've used AI, will be familiar with this particular format. It also supports streaming, which is really, really useful. You get standardized exception handling. So this is another great benefit. You also get various things around logging and observability. It integrates with Langfuse and a few other AI gateways as well. You also get cost tracking, a whole bunch of stuff here. So if you want to dig into the docs, there's a lot more to this library. All right, so in this example, I'm just going to show you some basic code. So we're just going to go ahead and use the LiteLLM library. I've added it to my Python pyproject.toml file. So I've added LiteLLM as a dependency. All of the code you see here is going to be on GitHub if you want to browse it in your own time. I will link it in the description below. So let's just go ahead and do the basics, which is using this basic completion function. So what this is essentially a Python function that takes in the name of a model and a prompt, and we pass that into the completion API. And then we have the system prompt, which says you are a helpful assistant, and then we just pass in the user prompt into the message history. As you can see, this uses the OpenAI responses API format to get the response back. So this first example, we're going to run a basic completion. I'm going to pass in the model as GPT-5, and I'm going to say, do I need frameworks to build AI agents? And I'm just going to send that off to the LLM. All right, so we got a response back from our AI agent. This is the GPT-5 model saying, short answer, no. You can build capable agents without a framework, just an LLM API. So let's run the next example. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're just going to switch to the Gemini 2.5 Flash model, which should be a little bit quicker. We just said hello, and it says, hello there, how can I help you today? So as you can see, it's really trivial to use this client. It's very easy to get started with, and it makes it super simple to just switch between different model providers You can run experiments. You can try all of the different models and see which one you like best. It might be worth pointing out that you do get a bunch of metadata with this as well. So let's take a quick look at the actual response object, because I think that can be useful. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tweak this code slightly and just return the response, because I think this is maybe useful to show as well. So I'm going to change this to return the response. And then I'm just going to run this example one more time. This time I should have the actual response object. So let's just take a quick look at that response.model dump. So as you can see, when you call this model, you do get back a bunch of information. It's always worth knowing this. You can see the actual model that was called. You can see things like the number of tokens that were used, so reasoning tokens, text tokens. This is just useful to know about, that there is more metadata here, and this is the kind of metadata you'd get back with the OpenAI client, so it is worth knowing that this exists. All right, so now we're going to go on to our next example, which is where we're going to build an AI agent. This demonstrates how to build a reusable AI agent that can use any tools to interact with the world. We can use any AI model because we're using LiteLLM. We're going to maintain a conversation history, and we're going to run autonomously in a loop. The key insight here is by using LiteLLM, our agent class works with every AI model provider, and we don't have to change a single line of code to do that. All right, perfect. So let's take a quick look at the agent class. This is just a regular Python class. We initialize it with a model and a system prompt, and then we pass in the tools that we want to give to our agent. And then we also define the maximum number of iterations. So when you build an AI agent, it's going to run in a loop calling tools, but you want to make sure that it doesn't run forever for some reason. It could get stuck in an infinite loop. So we set a maximum number of iterations. This is how many times it can reason and make tool calls before it has to stop and just basically give up. And so we initialize a messages object. This is just an array of conversation objects. Basically, this is kind of like this is your context window. This maintains the conversational history. As we go through the loop, we're going to keep adding to this messages object or this messages array, adding more information to it. And so as the conversation progresses, that messages window is going to grow. The AI agent is going to have more information as it goes through the conversation. We have some helper functions here. These are just kind of tidying up the inputs to convert them to the right format for OpenAI, which is to have a name for the tool. We give it a description, and then we define the parameters as well. And then we have a function to execute the tool. So given the name of a tool we need to call and the list of arguments, we basically just find the tool we need to call, execute the Python function. I have got a tool approval in here. So one of the advantages, again, of writing AI agents from scratch without a framework is that adding features like tool approval is really, really trivial. It's literally like 3 lines of code. If tool requires approval, then we ask the user for their input, basically. So this is really maybe a good example of where if you write AI agents from scratch yourself, when you want to add in a feature like this, it's relatively trivial and simple to do that, and the code is really easy to understand. So then this is the agent loop itself. What we do is we give it a prompt. So we say, show me the files in this directory, and then we append that as the first message in our sequence. We then go into the loop. So as you can see, this is just a for loop. So we iterate up to the maximum iterations, and then we just call the AI model. This is just calling an LLM. We pass in the tools that are available to it, and then we pass in the messages history. We then decide, should we call a tool? If the AI decides it wants to call a tool, then we need to go ahead and execute a tool call. But if it doesn't, we just return the message. So in this first example, if we don't need to call a tool, just basically return the message content. But if we do want to call a tool, then we look up the name, we find the parameters, and then we execute the tool call. We actually run the Python function. And then we return the output of that Python function. We just append it back into the context window so that then the next time the AI agent will know what the result of previous tool calls was. And that's it. That's basically the entire loop. It's around 70 lines of code. It's very easy to add more logic to this if you want to, but that's basically the entire thing. And then down the bottom, we have some functions that we can call. So we're going to have a bash command that allows you to execute any arbitrary bash commands on your host. This is an example of a really powerful function because, as you can imagine, AI knows how to write bash commands really, really well. It's trained on this data. So it can do pretty much anything with this single command. I'm a big fan of really powerful general purpose tools rather than having hundreds of maybe smaller tools. So this bash command allows you to read files, search for files, start Docker containers, pretty much anything you can do in the terminal, this AI agent can now do just by giving it access to this one simple tool. But as you remember, we do have approvals on this tool. So we make sure that we check that the AI agent isn't doing anything dangerous or executing something that we're not happy with. We get to confirm whether it's allowed to do those actions or not. I've also added one more example, which is the ability to read a file, just to show you the kind of another example of defining a tool, essentially. And so we pass in a tool schema. So we have two things. The tool schema is what we give to AI, and it defines what the tool is, when the AI should call the tool, and basically what arguments it should provide. And the actual implementation of the tool is just Python code. There's no magic here at all. And that's it. Then we're going to run this in a loop. We're going to bootstrap our agents. We're going to pass in the GPT-5 model. We're going to give it a system prompt, and then we're going to pass in the tools. And that's it. We're going to run this in a loop while true. We're going to just run a basic REPL in the terminal, which I'll show you now. And that's the entire agent. I'm going to change this model to use Gemini. So let's change this to Gemini 2.5 Flash, because I just think that's a faster model, probably more suitable for a simple agent like this. Okay, so I just want to show you a simple example of running this AI agent. So I've done uv.run o2 agent.py. As you can see, we've started the AI agent conversational loop, and we're using the Gemini 2.5 Flash model. Hey, how are you doing? As you can see, we have a conversational loop with our AI agent, and this is pretty much a basic AI agent that you would get with ChatGPT. We don't have advanced features. We're not streaming our responses or anything, but this is the basic AI agent flow that makes up every single AI agent that you work with. Can you list the available files in the current directory? So we're going to ask it to list the files in the current directory. And what that's going to do, because the LLM doesn't know anything about our local computer, it has a tool call that it knows about, which is the bash command. And so it's using the bash command. As you can see here, it's saying the ls-f option to list files, which is just going to put an output of the files in my directory. And then I can approve that tool call. So I'm going to say yes. And then, as you can see here, the agent has looked at the output of that bash command and is able to then answer the question. Here are the files and directories in the current directory, and it's listed out these, it's broken them down by type. This is really, really powerful. We can say other things as well. So we could say, how much memory is my machine currently using? As you can see here, it's decided to do a different command. So I'm going to go ahead and approve that one. As you can see, it's able to say, here's a summary of your machine's memory usage, which is amazing. What operating system am I currently using? Okay, so it's figured out, again, the AI is already trained on using bash, so it knows how to call any bash commands. I really love tools like this because I think they're very, very powerful. Claude Code is a great example where it has a very minimal set of tools, but they can just do incredible things. So the bash command is like a universal command that can do pretty much everything that you can do in the terminal, but the AI now has the power to do that for you. It knows how to do these commands. It's trained on it. I just love these tools. I think they're a really great way to build AI agents, small, powerful tools that work really, really well. Thank you for watching the video. I hope this was useful to you. As you can see, the actual AI agent loop itself is relatively easy to build yourself. And so my recommendation is to build AI agents from scratch yourself at first, just so you can understand when a framework makes sense and when it doesn't. And one of the biggest complications with building AI agents, as we've seen, is using different model providers and handling the different logic between all of the different SDKs used. LiteLLM solves that problem for you. And so the question you have to ask yourself is, well, why would I use a framework at this point? What is it that a framework gives me that I can't write myself in a few lines of Python code? You'll find that by building AI agents yourself, you have a lot more control. Adding features becomes relatively trivial, and you'll be able to understand things in a lot more depth. So I recommend starting by building your own AI agents. Then you can decide whether a framework makes sense for your use case. And sometimes it does. Frameworks do give us a lot of great abstractions. They do have a lot of built-in functionality that can be incredibly useful and save a lot of time. But if you're able to build these agents by hand yourself, you can make that decision as to when you need a framework or when you just want to keep it really, really simple and just build AI agents yourself. Remember that the best AI systems are not the most complicated. They don't use the most frameworks. The best software systems are simple, easy to understand, and easy to maintain. And I feel that by building AI agents yourself by hand, you get a lot of those things for free because the code tends to be simpler, you have fewer abstractions, and you have fewer dependencies to worry about. Hope you found this video useful. If you did, please remember to like and subscribe. It means a lot. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.